What's good, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Zamir from XZC Tunes. Okay, in the previous video I talked about how to produce beats in Cubase, right? So there was a lot of thing that I covered in the previous video. I hope you guys already checked them out. If you haven't already, I'll leave the link in the description. All right, so this video is gonna be the part 2, right? The second episode of this series where I'm gonna be teaching a lot of music production tutorials, specifically in Cubase 14. All right, I know some of you asked me that you guys don't see the drum track in your Cubase, and if you guys using a version before Cubase 14, you may not be able to see some of the things that I shared in the video. So please go ahead and update your Cubase right now. This is the best time because you're getting a lot of discount and at the same time cool free plugins together. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right in. So today I'm going to be covering how to use virtual instrument like a pro in Cubase 14 Pro. Alright. Steinberg invented VST3, and in Cubase it's always stable. Like all the other DAWs I've used, Cubase is the most stable when it comes to handling virtual instrument. Alright. And on top of that, there's a lot of other things that I'm going to show you today that will definitely help you with your music production. So you guys can see this is actually the right zone, and let me just go to the home page now. You're gonna see there's VST instruments, very straightforward, right? It's just right in front of you and it's on top of the list because it is a very important element when it comes to music production. So we have this VST instrument. When you click on it, it's going to show up all the instruments that you have installed. All right, however, you can see that this is actually a favorite folder of mine, which is the instruments that I use a lot. All right, so favorite is the folder that I have created. Right, we have the default, which is going to show all the instruments and plugins that I've installed. To speed up my process, I created this folder so I can find all these plugins as quick as I can. All right, so if you don't like to see all these icons like this, right, you can just click on this button here. It's gonna collapse or hide those icons. Okay, let me just unhide this. Right, I have a lot of plugins in my favorite folder, right? So if I show all of them, there's tons of them, right? So sometimes when I'm working on something, I need to lay down those ideas quickly. If I scroll down like this, sometimes I may forget the idea, right? So that time usually I'll just go and hide these icons, and then now I can go ahead and just find the plugins I want. Let's say this is Vacuum Pro. I can just drag and drop it in the project window. All right, okay, that's one thing that you can do. Another thing is that you can click on this button, collapse all. So now it collapses everything. All right, and I can just click on this button. Okay, I want a synth, so let's go ahead and find some synth that I want. Okay, FM8, that's right. So that's how useful is this collapse button. Okay, and the other thing is you can actually click on this expand as well. So if you want to collapse, and then you can expand as well, right? Okay, I'm going to show you guys how to create your own folder. So what you have to do is click on this button and go to plugin manager. When you go to plugin manager, okay, this is what you can see. However, you can see that this is the favorite folder that's showing here, right? When you open this, you may be looking at the default folder right there, right? It's going to show all the plugins that I have installed here. Yeah, that's a lot. So this is also for VST instruments, VST effects, right? So currently it's on VST effects. I'm going to go to VST instruments and change this to the defaults as well. Okay, so here's a lot more instruments. And then this is the VST modulators. If you're using a Cubase version prior to Cubase 14, like 13, 12, this VST modulators may not be available, right? And this is the block list. Okay, some of the plugins that we have might be in this list because they are VST2. VST2 is not supported anymore in Cubase. However, if you have some of the VST2 plugins that you want to use, you can actually enable them right there. Okay, so when I click on this, it's just enabled it. Okay, now it's scanning, so we're gonna have to wait for a while. Okay, now it's scanned all my VST2 plugins and then showing out that okay, I have this much of VST effects and instruments that's using VST2, right? So hit OK. When you click on this, you are able to see the plugin path and settings. Okay, when you install a new instrument, if you don't have these plugin path settings properly saved here, it's not going to be showing up in the list. All right, so make sure to add the path here. So to add the path is very simple. Just click on the plus button here and then go ahead and find those folder and then hit OK. All right, so I'm not going to do that because these are the plugin folders that I have already added to this list. Okay, so let's add a new folder, shall we? So I'm going to go to VST instrument here and I'm going to click on this drop down menu and I'm going to go to new collection. Okay, I'm going to add the empty folder. Okay, let's name them. So it's going to be tutorials. How about tuts? Yeah, let's use that. So here is my tuts folder. I'm going to add all the virtual instruments that I use. So it's CS80, okay, essential keyboards, Alien 7, hybrid. Okay, so if you notice, when I move it to the right side here, you can see that it's showing up here already, right? That's cool. And now I want to add another folder here because, okay, these are all the synths, right? Okay, I want this to be in a folder. So I'm going to click on this button here. Okay, let's name them synth, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just drop them inside this folder like so. Go, let's add another folder. I'm gonna name them drums. Okay, now let's go ahead and find drums. Okay, clap machine, I like that. We're groove agent, let's add that. Okay, MPC, add that as well. So these are all the drum instruments that I use a lot, and I also have these isotope brick tweaker. Okay, so let's add this to the folder. Just drag and drop like so. Okay, so now that I have this drum folder, you guys can also change the position of this folder. So if you want the synths to be above, you can choose that, and then you can have the drums below, you know, depending on how you like. Okay, so that's that. Okay, once that's done, it's right here already. Synth, you know, they're here. Okay, so another cool thing that you can do is that you can actually create an icon for each of these plugin. So right now we have these essential keyboards. I'm gonna just click on this snapshot button here, and now you can see that it's showing up right there. Okay, so that's cool. So now let's go ahead and add a folder for the effects. Right, so I'm gonna go to the VST effects. Let's create new one. Go to the new collection, empty, tuts again. Here we go. For the VST effects, usually I like to have them with a category. So for instance, reverb. Let's imagine some of these plugins are reverb, right? So I just want to make this quick. Alright, so these are all the reverb plugins for an example, alright? Okay, so I can just drag and drop it like so. What if this is not a reverb plugin and I want to remove it, right? It's very simple. Right click on it, click on delete. Right click, delete. You can also delete the folder. Delete. Alright, so it's very simple, very straightforward. So if let's say you don't want this collection, you can also click on this menu here and go to delete collection and hit OK. So now it's going to go back to the either default or fave. Okay, so that's that. Okay, another cool thing that I want to share today is the VST instrument here. If you go to any of the Steinberg's plugin, okay, let's say Halion, right? It's going to show all the expansion or the preset that or instrument that you have bought, right? I don't know what to call these. Is it an instrument or expansion or presets? Okay, it doesn't matter. What important is you can actually able to click on these instruments and then you can audition it, right? So just click on this like so. You can play on your keyboard before you even drag it to your project window. So isn't that cool? Okay, you notice what's happening now is actually playing the thing that I just played right now. So I'm gonna stop this. Okay, what happened just now is I played a tune on my keyboard when I was testing or checking out this preset. Okay, now that I've auditioned this sound, I like it, I can just drag and drop it to the project window, and now I can go ahead record my stuff. Okay, I really like this feature in Cubase because I don't have to necessarily add those instruments to the project window before I hear how it sounds, right? See, it's playing the same melody that I played earlier. If you want to change the melody, just go ahead and play it on top of it. Okay, now I just played that. It's going to repeat. Okay, this is useful because sometimes you may have a chord progression that you want to play, right? So let's say I want to play this chord progression now. Okay, let's say this is the chord progression, and I'm using this preset now to play these chords. If I go to the next one, okay, I get an idea of how the chords is gonna sound with each of these presets. So you get the idea. So this is really cool. So this is how I audition my sounds before I put it in my project. Right? So I really like this feature. Instruments like Halion is actually a multi-timbral instruments, which means you can add a couple of other instruments right below there. So now that I have alto glockenspiel, the second MIDI track is going to be a different instrument. All right? So if I want to play the other track, all I have to do is just create a new MIDI track. So I double click right below to add a new MIDI track. And now when I play this, it's going to be playing the second instrument that I've added right now. Okay, and if you want to open the instrument, okay, I'm going to play it again. You can see that only the second MIDI instrument which is playing right now. Okay. Alright, so let's add a couple more instruments. You just drag and drop it here. Okay, now I'm gonna go and create another instrument just below that. Okay, so that's cool, right? However, if you notice, when I'm playing here, you can see that the level is also showing up in the first MIDI instrument, right? Okay. The reason is these two instruments does not have its own independent output. It's actually outputting to the first instrument track. Okay, so you can actually assign this as well. So you can go to VSTI here, right here, and go and click on this button, activate output. So I'm going to click on 1 and 2, right? So now when I go down here and click on this button, I'm going to have a couple of more outputs here. So the first one is going to be the glockenspiel, you can see here, and then second track, if I play it here, the second instrument here is still showing the first one. We want the second instrument to go to output number 2. So how we can do that? It's very simple. This one right here, you have to go down and click on this button, and this one also go down and click, so output 3. Once you have changed that, you go to the instrument here, and then you come here and change this to their respective output. So currently this one's going to output 2, output 3. And now when I play the second instrument, is going to go to the output number 2. The third one is going to the third output. So, okay, the reason why I changed this to output 3 is because now when I click on this, it will have its own separate channel that I can then adjust the EQ curve or add some effects or compression or something like that, right? So output 3. Now if I go to the output 2, now output 2 have its own independent effects. So when I go and play this now, so I'm gonna actually change this to maybe like that. If I go to the MIDI number 2, this is a completely different EQ. This is a different EQ, right? You guys can see it here. So this is why it's important to route each channel independently, so that each of these channels will have its own fader that we can process separately, right? Alright guys, so that's all you need to know about virtual instrument in Cubase. Let's just cut this video short. I hope you guys find value in this video. If you guys did, please make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, smash the like button, and share this video to everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.